Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'll lead you step by step through the ABRSM Theory Grades. We're now going to look at the final paper, the specimen paper, at the back of the 2016 Grade 2 Music Theory Past Papers booklet. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets that are available in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. All the information that you need to know for these grades can be found within these documents. There's also a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and so if you want to do some revision or revisit some topics from these grades, I've worked through every aspect of this grade with you in those tutorials. You can also access information about the books that I have available. I've written How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam, and it's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time when you're in the exam room. So if you visit sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads more to come. And so grab your pencil, make sure you've got a sharp pencil. I've got a mechanical pencil so I know it stays sharp. You need an eraser and you'll need a ruler, and then we're ready to go. So if you can turn with me in your booklet to the specimen paper on page 13 in the 2016 Grade 2 Papers booklet. So this has never actually been set as an exam. It's just a specimen paper given to you as a bonus at the end of this book. Nevertheless, we'll treat it exactly as if it were a paper. It's still exactly the same in terms of revision purposes. And so I hope that you've had a go of this yourself. First of all, it's always better to try it yourself, and don't worry if it's wrong. You can always learn by your mistakes. And so now I'm going to go through each of these questions with you. So question 1 asks us to add missing bar lines to these two melodies. So there are two melodies with separate time signatures, so don't be tricked into continuing with the old time signature for the next exercise. And very generously, the first bar line has been given in each. And so this first one, we've got 4 minim beats or 4 half notes per bar. So you might want to just give yourself a little note so you know what units you're counting in. We know that's a whole note or a semi-breve rest, so there would be 2 minim beats there, 2 half notes, and then we have the same in note value in a whole note or a semi-breve there. There's our first bar line. And so let's carry on with this. So there's 1 minim beat or half note plus a half again. With this note here, this crotchet or quarter note makes 2. Those two equate to make a minim or a half note. 1, 2, 3, 4 bar line underneath this tie. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, after the whole note or the semi-breve. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest is the same as the note in value. So there we go, we know we're correct because we've still finished on the double bar line and the maths is still correct. The next one, we're counting 3/8 notes or 3 quaver beats. So we're counting in units of a quaver or an eighth note. And the first bar is given us. We have 2 semiquavers or 2/16ths that make 1 unit, and then this divides into 2 quaver beats or 2/8 notes. So 1, 2, 3, there's our bar line. 1, 2, 3, there's a bar line. 1, those two make 1 quaver or eighth note. Those two make 1 quaver or eighth note. So 1, 2, 3. Bar line after that little run of semiquavers or 16th notes. Those two make 1 quaver or eighth. 2, 3 bar line. And now don't let this triplet sign confuse you. Remember, that just means 3 in the time of 2. So we've got 3 semiquavers or 3 16th notes in the time of 2, which then we can work down makes 1 quaver beat, and then that divides into 2, 1, 2, 3, and we know we're correct. So that's the end of that question. Moving on, question 2 asks us to write a 4-bar rhythm. However, this is no longer part of the new ABRSM Music Theory syllabus. In the exam this won't appear on your paper from 2018 onwards, and so we're not going to look into that one because it's not part of your paper anymore, so we'll just skip ahead to question 3. So turning over the page to page 14, let's have a look at question 3. Question 3 asks us to add the correct rest or rests, that's the important part, at the places marked with a little star in these 2 melodies. So be careful, again we've got 2 melodies, 2 separate time signatures, and we need to make each bar complete by adding a rest or rests. So in this question here we should have 4 crotchet beats or 4 quarter notes per bar, and there's something missing here that we need to complete this bar with a rest. So let's see what we're missing first of all. We've got 1 beat here, 1 beat here, 3 in the time of 2 means we've got 1 beat here, and so it should be 3 in the time of 2 again to create the next and the final beat. We've only got 2 quaver beats or 2 8th notes where we should have 3, and so we need to have a quaver rest or an 8th note rest. So we've added the same equivalent of time as a rest as we have a note here. So really that gives us the clue. We've just got to add that in rest form now. This next one, this bar here, again we're adding to 4 crotchet beats or 4 quarter notes. We've got 1 here, 1 here, that makes 2. 4 quarter beats makes a whole beat. 2 quarter beats makes half a beat. So far we've got 1, 2, 3.5 beats. We need another half beat, and so we need another one of these, a quaver rest or an 8th note rest, and that's that one complete. And so now we're on to the next time signature, where now we're only counting to 2 crotchet beats per bar. And so let's see what's missing here. We've got 1 beat here, we've got a quarter of a beat here, so we're 3/4 of a beat missing. Now you could think that you could get away with doing a half of a beat with a dot, but that won't quite score you full points, because if you remember, every new beat needs a new rest, and so you could do that as well there. And so let's continue with the next bar. And so we should have 2 crotchet beats or 2 quarter notes. We've only got 1 here, and so we need another crotchet rest or quarter note rest. There we go. And this final bar is completely empty, and so you might be forgiven for at first thinking that we need to add a 2 beat rest. However, that isn't quite correct. That wouldn't justify full marks, because the short answer to that is that we always use a whole note rest or a semi-breve rest to show a complete bar's silence. And there we go, that should score you full marks there. Let's move on to the next question. So question 4 asks us to add the correct clef, so that's one part of the action we need to complete, and any necessary additional sharp or flat signs. So we need to use accidentals. That's part 2. Do not use key signatures, so everything needs to be added as an accidental. Now first of all, to make this into E minor, of course it must begin and end on note E, and so we'd need that to be treble clef. Otherwise you'd be beginning on G if you wrote that in bass clef, and then that wouldn't be correct. Now I'm going to use the harmonic minor form, because I always think that's the most obvious choice for grade 2, because you just ascend and descend with the same notes. And so the harmonic minor form has 2 steps. We have to have the key signature of the related major scale, which in this case would be G major. Only because we don't need it as a key signature, we have to add that as an accidental. So G major has F sharps, and so here's our F sharp. And then the second step of the scale is to raise the 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th note, so we have a D sharp as an accidental as well. So that could be a key signature, but they've asked for it to be all accidentals. The raised 7th is always the accidental. The next question asks us to write this scale and make it into the scale of B flat major. And so in order for this to be B flat major, it must begin and end on B flat, and so we need that to be in the bass clef. And then B flat major would have a key signature of B flats and E flats. However, we add that as an accidental, so there's begins and ends on B flat. It looks like we've got too many flats, but don't forget we need that key note twice. And then we've got E flats as well. And then that completes that question. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you can give me a like, that would be fab, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads more to come. We'll look at the next question in the next video. And please do go to sharonbill.com and make use of all the information that's there for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!